Gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
What's going on? What's going on, my family? Hey man, happy Wednesday. We back again for another mob brainstorming session. Every week we get together, we come together, we band together as a community, as entrepreneurs, as creatives, game changers, to really just share ideas, solve challenges, build real strategy, and move our businesses forward. For the most part, it's all about mastering our business. And pun intended, pun intended. So. Hey man, I appreciate everybody that's been tapping in with us every single week, and everybody that's really been, giving us an opportunity to, just drop some gems on them. Shout out to all of our members, mentors, advisors. Shout out to all of our partners as well. I'm super excited, man. We got, a special guest, actually one of our newest partners, as well. So I'm excited about that. If you on live, if you are already tapped in with us, make sure you guys like, subscribe, share, whether you watching on YouTube, Instagram, or TikTok, man. Or if you're watching on my TV, make sure you guys drop some comments in the chat. Also, make sure you guys download the Enterprise Theater channel. That's on another one of our partners on Roku TV. Right now, we're up to 6 million viewers, man. So shout out to them. Shout out to everybody that's just been supporting us throughout the years. And shout out to everybody that's just really been giving us a chance to, help grow their business. It's all about, I really don't take that lightly, especially when you're putting, your company in our hands. It's like putting your baby in our hands. It is your baby. You go on these companies. It's a lot of work, when it comes to, putting together a company and just growing anything. So, shout out to everybody who, really took the call out to first believe in yourself and invest in yourself, to build this generational wealth. That's what it's all about, building generational wealth and making sure that, we can live a life that we want to live, live comfortably and not have to, really, answer to nobody. that's the life, that's really the goal at the end of the day. Everybody that I know that's entrepreneurs, that's pretty much their main goal, man. So, again, man, make sure you guys blow up that chat, likes, follow, subscribe. I see a few of you logged in already. Shout out to you guys, man. Make sure you guys introduce yourself as well. Throw your websites in the chat. Post your social medias. And also follow somebody else's social media after the live is over. Check out their websites. You never know who you might be on this live with. Throughout this last probably about a year and a half, going on 2 years, we've been doing our brainstorming sessions. And we've been, really creating so many great partnerships. There's been so many great people that's been coming together and banding together that, met through our community. And, that, if anything, that's really our, most favorite thing that we like to do, man, connect the dots. So again, make sure you guys follow, subscribe, and share, whether you're on YouTube, Instagram, or M.O.B TV, or if you're on TikTok, man, make sure you guys tap that screen, man. We're looking to get up to 100,000 likes this session. We're about to be dropping a lot of gems. Again, I'm super excited. We got a special guest on, one of our newest partners. And we got some things in store for you guys. We're going out with a bang. This is the second half of the year, you guys. So, man, it's time is flying. We already in month 7. Month 8. Oh, damn, I'm already behind. It's already August. So yeah, man, we only got a couple more months, for this summer. So, hey, it's really that time. I really want to dive into, talking about funding. This is something that we've been, diving into for a minute now. I actually want to hit you guys with today's icebreaker question, which is, what would you do if what would you do in your business today if you had $50,000 in funding tomorrow? Drop your answers in the chat, please. Let's see some. I'm trying to see some. You guys got a plan for this funding? I know everybody loves to talk about the actual getting funding and getting access to funding, but do you guys actually thinking about what you would do with that funding? So that's super important, you guys. So hey, I want to see some of them answers in the chat. What would you do in your business today if you had $50,000 in funding tomorrow? I definitely want to see some of them answers. And hopefully after this chat, we can set up some calls, figure out how we can actually make that thing come true, and turn it into reality. Um, Especially for 50,000, man. We definitely that's really not a lot of money. So let's hit these goals. Let's hit these goals. Shout out to everybody that we've been able to get funding for this year. We've been able to do some amazing campaigns. We got a lot of different things off the floor, off the ground this year. Helping these brands excel. It's all about hitting the next level and actually getting real results. So shout out to you guys for just taking the action, because it's a lot of discipline. It's not just getting access to the funding, but like I said, it's all about having enough discipline to do the right thing with it as well, and make sure you hitting those goals at the end of the day. So yeah, man, make sure you guys drop your answers in the chat, whether you're on YouTube, especially if you're on YouTube, because we're able to actually put your answers on the screen. If you're live with us on Instagram, if you're live with us on TikTok, make sure you guys share our live, especially with a fellow entrepreneur. Like I said, we're going to be dropping some great gems on today. And if you're looking to get funded, if you're looking, if you need, and really, I don't even know who don't need some extra capital, right? So it's all about, getting you guys where you need to be. And again, shout out to everybody that's tapped in live, whether you're on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, or whether you're watching straight through M.O.B TV. Speaking of M.O.B TV, make sure you guys check out M.O.B TV. We got a lot of great content on there from different stories, from different business owners. We wanted to create a platform where we can just give you raw content, raw positive content, for the most part, motivational content. We got a lot of great stories on there, a lot of great exclusive interviews from a lot of great, business owners, people that's actually in the game, making some things happen. So, that's what it's all about, giving you guys real life, jewels from people that's actually, making some things shape. No fake gurus over here. We want to make sure that everybody is just, understanding that we all in the same boat. We all can learn from each other. And this game is steady evolving. Business is steady evolving. So we have to stay sharpened up. When it comes to our knowledge. Knowledge is power, you guys. So real quick, throw them fire signs in the chat if you're excited about today's session. And again, if you haven't already, make sure you guys throw your answers in the chat to today's icebreaker question, which is, what would you do in your business today if you had $50,000 in funding tomorrow? Let's see them answers. Let's do it. See you guys on TikTok. Blow it up. A new office space. Okay. Going mobile. Yes. I see you guys. What's going on, Kate? What's going on? I definitely want to hear from you, Kate. What's your answer? What would you do in your business today if you had $50,000 in funding tomorrow? What would you do? $50,000 in business funding, you guys. Let's do it. So I don't want to hold you guys up too much longer. Real quick, I really want to bring somebody up. Like I said, we got another special guest for you guys this Wednesday. And this guest, like I said, is one of our newest partners. I really feel like we're going to be doing a lot of great work, and really just a lot of great things in the community for you guys, for our fellow entrepreneurs out there. I really want to introduce you guys to my guy, Paul. What's going on, Paul? What's going on? Go ahead and unmute yourself real quick.
Unmute there. There we go.
Yes,
hey, what's up, Delana? Thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here.
I appreciate you for taking the time out. I know it was short notice, but it's all about divine timing. For those that don't know who you are, man, go ahead and introduce yourself. Talk about what do you do and what's coming up next.
Absolutely. So basically what we do, and I just apologize ahead of time, I got a bit of a sore throat, just getting over a cold here, but I'm going to do my best here. So basically what we do is we provide consulting for small business owners. Business owners are the lifeblood of America, so we do everything we can to help them. My dad was an entrepreneur. So our goal is to get you that cash flow that you need to help to grow your business, because we know without cash flow you can't do anything. So when the banks say no, we come in, we help you, give you all of the keys so that you can get that money. We can get it at great rates and you can get it fast so that you're able to grow your business. And we come up with all of the solutions. So we have the deep insider knowledge of the underwriting. We know how the banks work. We know how all the lenders work. We have access to hundreds and hundreds of different lenders so that we can help you get the money that you need when you need it so that you can grow your business effectively.
I love that. I love that. And like I said before, who don't need more capital?
Exactly.
We need people like you. So, real quick, what was that, take us back to that time that really, made you jump into this industry. What really got you into, helping, businesses get funding?
So I came from a marketing and sales background. We were running all kinds of different products. We were selling everything from e-commerce to doing things like tax credits for large businesses. And it turns out that there's a huge demand in America for people to get money to grow their businesses. I was constantly running into business owners who were just running out of cash flow and they just could not get the capital that they needed from the banks. They would go and they get denied and denied and denied. And I realized that through the connections I had by working with a lot of business owners and some of the people that I knew, that this was a problem that we could uniquely solve. And so I looked into learning as much as I could about the industry, just poured my heart into talking to everybody from bankers to people that had been doing private lending and alternative lending for years and years to try to crack the system to how we could game the banks so that they could give you more and more money and you could get the capital that you need to grow. So basically, as mentioned, my dad was an entrepreneur. So I saw that and there was a special place in my heart. How can we help these small business owners who are getting wiped out through the course of COVID, who are suffering, and with the economy and with inflation and all these different things that happen, these unpredictable environments, it gets harder and harder to run a business, especially when you're not even able to get the capital that you need. And so it was from that place that we decided, look, we're going to find a way to assist these business owners to get them what they need to help their businesses succeed. And I'm not sure if you're on mute, Delano, or if I just can't hear you.
Yeah, most definitely, most definitely. I definitely, over the years, it's definitely been a common denominator. I like to call it the big three. At the end of the day, most people have trouble, accessing capital. Most people have trouble, accessing a reliable team, and most people just don't have, most people have the lack of knowledge. They know what we want to do. We all know our passions. We all know what we want to do, but sometimes we have a lack of knowledge to really, accomplish those goals. So it's definitely been something that's just been, especially since the pandemic, and just, even with me, I'm a serial entrepreneur. I didn't start off with a whole bunch of capital when I first started. We started off bootstrapping. So, it's definitely something that's definitely needed. What do you feel like is the biggest mistakes entrepreneurs make when building a brand and when going for business funding or, just building relationships with lenders?
I think it's honestly tough because I understand, like as a business owner, you're so busy. You've got so many different hats you got to wear. You got to handle the sales. You got to handle the fulfillment. You got to deal with hiring and managing your staff, right? And so the truth is that there's just so much knowledge out there. And it took, me, as myself, as somebody who, studied, went to school, and I consider myself, reasonably intelligent. It took a long time to understand the depth of the system and how complicated it is. And to be frank, a lot of it is just kind of rigged against the average business owner. So if you come in and you don't have that extra help, you don't have somebody who knows a lot about the system, who's there to give you a leg up and to educate you and give you those tips and kind of accelerate that process, it is pretty tough. But I would say, just to answer your question succinctly, basically to try to do it alone is a mistake. If you're just going to go out there and try to apply, just with your local bank and then give up, like you're missing a whole world of options out there. So if you find a good consultant who knows what they're doing, that can cut the learning curve dramatically. So that would be my biggest tip.
No, most definitely. Having mentors is super, or I like to call them accountability partners as well. It's super important, for everybody. Sometimes, we just simply need that push, that extra push, that extra motivation. But we definitely need somebody that, that can really let us know those tips and tricks. Because, even with, in the beginning of my journey when it came to, just enhancing my knowledge around financial literacy, the more I learned, the more, I realized, like you said, the system was built against us. And it was just like, man, we didn't learn this in school. I didn't learn this, anywhere. So shout out to all of the mentors and advisors that that we had, and that I had coming up. And we just trying to do the same thing. It's super important to have those people, reliable people that's really going to stand by you, and people that really know what they're talking about. Real quick, if you haven't, if you just logging in, if you just typing in, make sure you guys drop your answers for today's icebreaker question. What would you do in your business today if you had $50,000 in funding tomorrow? I see my boy Cape. He said, make sure the funnel set up property, offer setup and ads all the way. Yeah, yeah. I love that. Definitely set up an advertisement. Set up an ads. I love that. I love that. So, real quick, Paul. In today's content heavy world, what's one underrated marketing move that still drive results for you?
I would say learning cold email. It's old school, but it's been something that's paid huge dividends for us. If you can learn about how to email, that's something I've been doing for about 8 years in different contexts. It works B2C, it works B2B. It's been working since the 90s, right? It still works, right? Since the internet basically was born. It still works today. And I think it's one of those things a lot of people don't realize. Big companies are constantly making money through email. I think Facebook ads are a little bit more obvious. You see that. If you're on Google, you see the ads, so a lot more people are aware. But something that a lot of people don't see is how much money is being driven by email. So that's one tip I would give people is to look into that. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Hey, man, it brings me back to something. Check your emails, people. If you're running a business, please. I've come across so many businesses that don't check their emails. You heard what the man said. You didn't hear it from me. You heard what he said. It's still working. It's still relevant. Definitely. And make sure you guys are on your email marketing. If you guys need help with that, make sure you guys let's set up a call. If you already got my number, make sure you guys hit me. Let's figure out how we can put together a team to make sure we stay on top of that email marketing campaign. It's super important. You didn't hear from me. You didn't hear from me. So real quick, Paul, how often should entrepreneurs revisit and adjust their business plan, and what triggers a necessary change?
I think it's a good idea to have a great business plan to start. Like you really want to understand the model of how you make money. I'm a huge fan of Alex Ramosi. Shout out to him. So if you haven't read his books, highly recommend. He's got a new one coming out called Money Models. But he's talked about a lot of these concepts that he covered in that book throughout the years. But basically, if you have a good business plan that makes sense in terms of the math of how you're going to drive revenue, basically balance the cost to acquire a customer with the lifetime value of a customer, then that's going to solve a lot of issues. And then have a really, really strong offer to get them in the door. So those are the key components, I would say, of a business plan. Basically, if you know how to have a good offer, if you know how to get the leads, and then you know how to sell to them, and then your whole model makes sense in terms of the math, then that's the key. And then once you have that, you want to tweak it, of course, take the feedback that you're getting. It's like Mike Tyson says, everybody's a plan until you get hit in the mouth, right? So when you're out there as an entrepreneur, you're dealing with the things that inevitably come up. As we know, it can be tough out there, right? With everything changes, right? With the next election, there's tariffs coming one way. You got COVID hitting you on the right side, right? So you have to be ready to adapt. So you always got to be ready to change it. But having those fundamentals down, a lot of it's about the fundamentals. So start with really strong fundamentals and then adapt your business plan as major things change. And then I would say it's a good idea if you're going to be going for something like an SBA loan or something like that. It really does show that you have a good plan. That's going to help the underwriting team to really give you that approval. So when it comes to lending, good idea to have a business plan in place for sure.
Again, he said it. I know y'all hear me say it. Sometimes it's good to hear somebody else, come in with that confirmation. And that's why I love these brainstorming sessions, because we're able to see and really connect with, different people like yourself, different experts from different industries. And it all revolves back to the same stuff that we've been talking about. You mentioned adapting. This is something that I've been, telling our brands, even, back when I was consulting before the pandemic, telling our brands adapt. And then the pandemic hit us, and I'm like, hey, it's time for that adapting. It's time for what we've been talking about, for the whole time. So we was able to really push through because these are some of the fundamentals that, we just stuck to. And it's super important to have a plan, for the most part. So real quick, what are the first steps someone should take to start building business credit from scratch?
Yeah, it's a great question. So the first thing that you want to do to build business credit, so we can definitely help you with that, but you want to start moving things off of using your personal credit and getting business lines, right? So a big mistake I see a lot of people do when they're starting a business is they have their personal credit cards and they start putting everything on there, right? So what you want to do is you want to start to get at least business lines of credit, business credit cards, and things like that. Now the way that you get them can be a little bit more complicated than people realize. We can definitely assist with that. We have a whole program designed to set you up well with trade lines from the beginning, especially as a startup. So that's one thing I would definitely recommend. The other thing you want to do is definitely you want to get set up on Dun and Bradstreet and some of these other core programs where they're going to be checking your business credit. You want to make sure that you're protecting you're not going to miss payments, things like that. Like those little, like it's wild, like how a single missed payment, things like that, they can really stick with you for years. So just be careful, when you do sign up with anyone, that you make their payments on time. It's just kind of basic integrity, right? Do what you say you're going to do. If you say you're going to pay your bills right back to somebody, it can bite you in the butt, right? If you're not doing it. So yeah, those are a few basic tips.
Hey, hey, this is a. If you read Business Credit Ain't Scary, if you read the ebook, you already know these are some of the things that we touched on. Again, you're not just hearing it from us, you're hearing it from a whole nother mouth. And it's super important for us to know these certain steps. We got to stop making these mistakes, you guys. Um, so, real quick, what tools or platforms have you personally used to track or grow your business credit? I know you mentioned Duns and Bradstreet. Is it any other tools or platforms that you actually use personally?
We don't do a ton in terms of like business credit. We actually have a partner that we refer out to for that, and we can share links and things like that after the show. But there's definitely people that are more specialized in that. I would say that we're definitely not like the super expert when it comes to business credit, but we can definitely help you get funding when it comes to building trade lines and things like that on the business side. I think that's where we excel. So I don't want to talk too much about it because I honestly I'm not the expert when it comes to that, but I can refer you to people that are pros for sure.
I love the honesty. I love it. I love it. I love it. That's what it's all about, being transparent and, hey, passing it on, shedding the light somebody else, let them throw that alley hoop. So, yeah, we definitely going to throw some links, and definitely if you want specific links or anything like that, make sure you guys set up a call with us. Make sure you guys hit us up. I can definitely send you out some links to connect with Paul as well. And yeah, we're gonna do some great things. So, real quick, how have you used business credit to access funding? Have you, matter of fact, what type of funds have you explored as far as credit cards, lines of credit, loans? What would you feel like? What would you feel like would be the best option when it comes to first building up business credit? I know you mentioned you really don't want to go too much into like going crazy with your personal credit cards. But what's some of the best options someone should really kind of look into as far as credit cards, lines of credits, loans, grants, those sorts of things?
Yeah, it's a great question. When you're starting out, the thing is you'd only have certain cards to play. So if you have only started your business, you haven't been in business more than, like 6 months or something like that, usually the banks are going to want to see, 2 years time in business to give you things like traditional business lines of credit, right? To get an SBO loan, typically you want to be in business over 2 years. And so you don't have that card to play. You don't have a lot of revenue either. Maybe you're pre-revenue, you got a little bit of revenue coming in. So the main card that you have to play is your personal credit, right? So if you've done a good job of building your personal credit, protecting that, then the main thing that you can get at the beginning is get these 0% introductory rate business cards. This is a hugely underutilized way to get a lot of capital. When I say a lot, there's some people that have no revenue in their business, just started their business. They can get $300,000 within a week or so. And so that's one of the ways that we help people get access to the bag. And essentially, the way that works and the reason that that's even possible, because it sounds too good to be true. I know you're a business owner. You're like, how is that? How does that make any sense? Why would they do that? So number one is that these banks are giving this away as an incentive because they see that a certain percentage of new businesses are going to become big businesses and they're going to make a lot of money over the course of time. And so what they want to do is they want to lure you in by offering you zero interest for the first 12 to 18 months that you're banking with them in the form of these 0% business cards. And so what that means is that if every bank is giving out this lure, and you have a way to take advantage of them, and they don't realize that each of them is giving out the bag because they're doing it in sort of a special way so that you're getting access to the maximum amount of funding from each one. You can collect this special lure from each one of them. So 0% business card from multiple banks. And so that way you can add them all up and you can get access to this capital. Now, it's a little bit, I'm making it sound a little bit simpler than it is because there's certain ways that you want to position your profile. There's certain ways that you want to take advantage of loopholes and how they underwrite the files so that you get the maximum amount of funding. But the end goal essentially is that you can go from having 0 trade lines, 0 business credit, and 0 business funding to having $300,000 if you have a strong profile, or even if you don't have a strong profile, but you have a friend or family who's willing to co-sign with you who does.
I love it. I love it. Straight gems. Hey, man, real quick, if you tapped in with us live, throw them fire signs in the chat, man. You're getting this info for free right now. This is, I don't think you guys understand how important these gems are, especially when it comes to, getting that bag, man. So we're talking about money. So throw them fire signs in the chat. If you haven't already threw your answers for the icebreaker question, make sure you guys throw that in the chat as well. So real quick, Paul, what would you tell your younger self about credit if you could go back to the day, to pretty much help your business? What would you tell your younger self?
So if I could go back right to the beginning, I would definitely start getting credit cards young and making sure I pay them down every time, and then go and try to grow that over time, right? So you do want to take credit, you want to build up that reputation. Essentially what credit really is, and I think there's a misconception I want to address, is a lot of people just know about the number. They're like, okay, if you got 750, that's a good number. If you got 650, it's a bad number. It's a little bit more complicated than that. So for example, you could have just basically a blank profile and maybe get like a kickoff card or one of these credit builders, and you might get your score up to a 750, but you're not going to get access to a lot of capital that way, because what they're really looking at is what we call depth. So if you're able to build depth, which means that you have a lot of age credit, you have a lot of large limits on your profile for everything from revolving lines, so these are credit cards, lines of credit, to your traditional installment loans, just term loans, then that combination over time, that's what's going to make it so that you can get the bag, right? So if you start young, you start building up that credit, and make sure that you make your payments on time, or you don't miss it, you don't have derogatories on your account. Although if you do, by the way, we can help you get rid of those, so it's not the end of the world, but build that up over time and just continue to build that, right? Then by the time that you're a business owner and you want to make those payments, right, you can do that. Now, if you're in a position where you're most of you listening are obviously, you're business owners, you're looking to get the credit right now, you want to get that business capital, right? You can still look at that as a long-term thing to do to make sure that you follow these basic directions and get these credit cards started and get these credit building going if you have bad credit at the moment. But it's one of those things that will pay dividends right down the line. It's one of those things you start as a habit. Just keep doing it for the rest of your life, and you will be thanking your younger self for sure if you start doing these things right away. I think you might be on mute. Oh, okay.
Nope, simple as that. Simple as that. I appreciate you. I appreciate the gems for sure. So real quick, I want to go into mindset. This is something that's super important for us, and I think mindset over mind over matter all day. What mindset shift did you have to make around credit and debt to be successful in business?
I think the biggest mindset is realizing that it was even possible that as a business owner, if you have good credit, right, that you have these tools that you can use to get access to a lot of capital. A lot of people just don't realize that they even can do this, right? It's just one of those things where they're like, oh, I thought I needed to have a whole bunch of revenue, right? They don't realize that if you're pre-revenue, that you can still get access to a bunch of funding, and that even that you should, right? Some people are taught, I should never take out debt, right? So there's good and bad debt. There's debt that you take to go on a shopping spree, right, buy a purse or something, and then there's debt that you use to make more money, right? And so, going back to the good business plan, if you know what you're doing, if you have a solid business plan, especially if you have some expertise that hey, if I have this capital, I can flip it, and this is exactly how I'm going to flip it to make a positive ROI on that, then it can be a great idea, especially if you're getting this capital at 0% for the first 12 to 18 months, and you can utilize that to really grow your business, then that is a powerful thing to do. And to not do it can slow you down by years and years and years. So there is a good time and there's a bad time, right? To take debt. There's a good type of debt. It's good, just like everything. There's a good time to do everything, right? So knowing the timing, being aware, and then seizing that opportunity, I think is huge.
Yes, yes, yes. You touched on something that was that really just stuck out to me because we talked about this a few weeks ago. We had another special guest on good debt versus bad debt. Super important to understand the difference. And it's super, it's just great how everything is just coming back in full circle, man. We need these confirmations, and just hearing different people speak on these different topics. It's just more confirmation. So I appreciate your time, man. I appreciate the gems you've been dropping for sure. I don't want to hold you up too much longer. I got a couple more questions for you. And then, meanwhile, if you have any questions for Paul, drop them in the chat, man. Drop them in the chat. Oh, who am I speaking on with? Oh, so if you tuned in on TikTok, if you want to actually go see our screen, you can actually tune in on YouTube as well. We'll be talking to Paul Chow, one of our newest partners. Um, and yeah, man, he's dropping some jewels. He's dropping some great gems, man. So make sure you guys tap in on YouTube. If you guys have any questions, I can actually put the questions on the screen. If you actually comment on YouTube, or I'll just read them off if you're on Instagram or TikTok. I got you guys, man. I definitely want you guys to get as much info as possible. So real quick, Paul, what's a realistic timeline for building strong business credit that qualify for 50,000 to 100,000 in capital?
So the beauty is that with the programs that we offer, you actually don't need established business credit at all. You can have a brand new LLC, like literally I have opened it yesterday, because the way that it works for these 0% programs is as long as your personal credit is strong enough. And again, this doesn't even have to be your credit. So let's just say you have a partner business, you got two partners. If one of you has good credit, that's good enough. If you've got a co-signer who's not even a partner, not even an equity owner, could be a friend, could be a family member who's willing to take that personal guarantee and help you out as a co-signer, then just that enough. You don't even need business credit at all. I think this is one of the most powerful ways to get capital at the beginning, because hey, if you don't have that card to play, you haven't built the business credit yet, then this is a way to get your foot in the door with the banks, get these trade lines so you can start building that business credit by using these credit cards and paying them off regularly.
Hey, that's a super important tip, man. We can't stress it enough. Make sure you guys are paying off your credit cards. Make sure you guys are making those payments on time. It's super important, man. It's all about building relationships at the end of the day. Credit is, like you said before, credit is not just a credit score. It's so many other things that come into play that, lenders and these different banks and even investors, they look for. We spoke to a few investors that really, dive, dove in deep about, what they actually look for. It's sometimes it's not what you expect. So make sure you guys are on top of your game, and just make sure you get somebody, like I said, even if it's not me or Paul, but make sure, you guys get somebody that's reliable, that know what they're doing, that can kind of walk you through these steps, because it's so much that goes into it, and I'm pretty sure you guys know. Okay, so we got a question on TikTok. Can you recommend a place that helps with business loans? Hey, you talking to him? You looking at him right here? I'm actually drop a link to connect with Paul, so you guys can, so he can actually guys, walk you guys through those steps. I want to link you guys with reliable people that's going to actually get you guys some results. So I'm gonna drop our link in the chat. I'm gonna actually send you guys, if you guys want to DM me, actually DM me funding, so we can go ahead and send you that link at the end of the session. DM me funding. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. I see some people trying to get some capital. Let's go, man. Who's trying to get to the bag, man? That's what we're talking about. Let's get some fun. Let's get some funding so we can work on this generational wealth. Because that's what it's all about, you guys. Building this generational wealth. This is not about getting some money to go splurge at the mall or anything like that. You heard my guy Paul. We gotta, know the difference between good and bad debt, you guys. It's super important. It's super important. This ain't about going out and buying a car or getting a chain or nothing like that. This is about building your business, building the future for you guys. So, real quick, real quick, Paul, what advice would you give entrepreneurs who've been denied funding?
I would say it depends on how you've been denied. So if you're in that situation, I would recommend, if you talk to somebody like myself, a good consultant who knows the game, right? Basically, we can look at it and we can figure out like why you were denied. I would say about 80% of the time somebody got denied by another bank or something, it's basically irrelevant, right? Because there's so many other options out there. When it comes to us, like we have hundreds of different lenders, right? So I would say the main thing you want to do is first of all, don't take it as like an ultimatum. It doesn't mean that you're never going to get capital. What it just means is that that one banker or that one lender doesn't like you for that one product. That's all it means, right? So don't. I would say the biggest thing is don't give up. Talk to somebody who's an expert, and they can often guide you to get that capital still. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. I love that. So, in your opinion, how much funding should a business owner aim to secure in their first 1 to 2 years? Because I know a lot of people, they put some crazy numbers on these applications, but is there a certain amount that they should aim for?
That really does come down to a bit of a personal choice on risk appetite. It depends where you're at in your life, right? If you've got kids and things like that, and you need to, let's say keep the mortgage going, then you don't want to take as much risk. Obviously, if you're a young single gentleman or lady and you're trying to raise capital to start a business, and you're like, listen, if I have to start over, I'm okay with doing that. Then you can take a little bit more of a risk. It also depends a little bit on the type of business that you have, right? If you know that your profit margins are going to be a little bit tighter, just let's say the industry standard for you is like a 10 or 20%, then you probably want to be a little bit more careful with the amount of debt service coverage or the amount of basically interest that you're going to have to pay on that debt over time. Whereas if you're going into an industry where it's possible you think you might be able to do 100, 200% ROIs right every year on whatever it is that you're doing, then you can take out a little bit more debt, right? So definitely situational.
I love that. I love that. And I think this really goes back to, actually having a plan as well. It's super important because, I've run across a lot of business owners that don't even know how much it really costs to run their business. So that's super important for you guys to, have a business plan and have a financial projection inside that business plan so you can actually have an idea of what you actually need to operate this business because you don't want to ask for something that's not enough. Now you don't have enough business funding, and now you don't have enough to really get that ROI back. And you don't want to ask for too much. Like Paul said, you don't want to really take on too much risk if you don't have to. Um, One more question, Paul. What is the biggest myth about business credit you wish that you could erase forever?
The biggest myth I would say the biggest myth is probably that you need really good business credit before you can get decent amounts of business funding. And so it stops people from even trying to get capital, just like we've been talking about at the beginning of the show. And so they end up trying to bootstrap the whole thing without any type of debt at all. And that can be really tough and that can slow things down dramatically. If you can get access to capital at 0% and you have a business plan that you've been executing, maybe if you want to be more cautious, you can even wait until you've proven things out a little bit. You generated some revenue on bootstrapping, but as soon as you have a model that's working, right, you want to add some rocket fuel to it. And you need to hire some people. A lot of times, without capital, you're going to be slowing yourself down by years if you don't take it. So I would say the biggest myth is that you should not go out and try to acquire business capital or business lines without business credit.
Hey, I love it. I love it because that's definitely something that that's definitely one of the misconceptions I had in the beginning. As a young entrepreneur, I tried bootstrapping it. And like you said, it really slowed things down for a long time until we was able to really get the right people in our corner and get access to the right funding. And really excel because I was able to delegate a lot of the things that I was doing myself. A lot of the hats that I was wearing, I was able to delegate those tasks, and it's super important. And now fast forward, we have a wonderful team, I have a wonderful community. I'm not so stressed out. I love what we're doing, and business is great. So we want to do the same thing, for our community and for those people out there. I know a lot of great business owners with some great ideas, quite frankly, great products. And sometimes they just need a little push. They just need a little capital so they can delegate more things. And you also want to, also have a personal life, so it's super, it's super important to have that capital so you can delegate and, have a crew, have a team, and make sure that team is reliable. So, man, I appreciate you so much, Paul, for just dropping so many free gems. It's important gems, and most of all, these important confirmations that we always need. We hear a lot of these, gurus online, talking about some of these things, but it's always good to have, genuine people, that's really, in the trenches for us, and really working for the people. At the end of the day, this is all about helping create more jobs, and bettering the economy. We all, we can have better businesses, create more jobs, create more, just generate more revenue through our communities. I think it'll trickle down to us being a lot more happier, and just other things. So, hey, we definitely have on our capes, and I appreciate you putting on yours, brother. So, I definitely want to, again, if you guys want to tap in with Paul, make sure you guys DM me funding so I can send you the direct link so you can set up your calls, set up your consultations, and get started on this journey. Let's get this bag real quick, Paul. I really want you, to let the people know, first, where they can find you, and then, let them know what you guys have coming up next, any specials that you guys have, anything like that, so we can, make sure that we get the people over to your platform for sure.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Delano, for having me on. It's been a huge pleasure, and you're doing such great things in the community to help small business owners get access to all different types of resources to grow, and that's what we're all about here as well. So appreciate you having me on. So the link that Delano is sending out, that's the best way to reach me. If you go through that, just fill out a quick form, literally take 1 minute. What's going to happen there is we're going to have our software use AI. It's going to produce all kinds of pre-approvals for you. We're going to be able to jump on a call. We're going to take our time and go through all of the different options for you, so you can have access to all the different types of capital that you need to grow your business, right? So whether you're just starting out, you've been in business for years, we work with companies from doing zero revenue all the way up to doing tens of millions a year, right? So we can help you pretty much no matter where you're at, with access to hundreds of different lenders, with rates, as mentioned, from as low as 0% for the first 18 months. So if you're looking to get in touch, just go ahead, click the link, talk to Delano there. He'll hook you up with that. And I look forward to speaking with you guys. So a lot of times you can get on a call with me directly, and I'll go through your file with you myself. And so I look forward to speaking with each and every one of you and helping you guys to grow your business, because that's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about. And real quick, Paul, if you can give the mob a quick shout out, that'd be great.
Absolutely. So I want to give a shout out to the mob. So anytime that you guys are looking for resources, Delano has been a hub for that. He's got so many things on his website. You go check out his website. And the thing about Delano here is he's been doing this for a long time. As he said, he's come from the community. He is part of it. And I've seen testimonials all over his website of people that have benefited from the different resources that he shows. And so when I talked to him, I knew right away that this was a guy that, I'd be happy to jump on and just share some knowledge, and talk with him about what we can do together to help grow businesses. So that's what it's all about, like we're saying at the end of the day. So thank you very much for having me on. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you, Paul, man. Peace and blessings to you, brother, for sure. I can't wait to continue on building. Man, like you guys heard, man, if you guys, I don't even know what more to say. If you haven't hit my DM yet, I don't know. I mean, we've been doing this for a minute, especially our brainstorming sessions. I know a lot of you guys have a lot of dreams and aspirations that you want to get done. This is where it's at, man. We have to, really apply ourselves. No one is going to save us. We got to save ourselves, you guys. And I know, if you know me, I'm super big on saving ourselves and applying ourselves, being the best that you can be, because you could do it. You could really do it. I know that's cliche, but at the end of the day, we've been really knocking down some walls throughout my years. I've been through a lot of different, testimony, and I've seen a lot of great people come and go. So, at the end of the day, it's all about mindset, who you have around you. And, that's what we're here for. We're building a community. And I love what we've been doing. I love our mob family, and everybody that's been building with us. I love getting you guys results at the end of the day. So, I really want to see you guys prosper. I love, hearing your testimonials. I love seeing you guys take it to the next level. And I really get excited when you guys get that funding. And I'm able to see what you guys do with it, and I'm able to see, how it changes your lives at the end of the day. So that's what we're here to do, change lives at the end of the day. Real quick, I don't, you guys already know, if you guys been on our brainstorming sessions before, you already know how I like to end them off. You already know I love giving you guys some type of assignment, just to keep you guys focused. So today's actually, because it's month 8 and we're on module 8, which is legal and ethical considerations. Here's this month's assignment. I really want you to do an ethics case study discussion. I want you to choose a recent case involving ethical issues in business and write a short reflection on how you would handle the situation. I want you guys to discuss potential impacts on reputation, trust, and legal outcomes. It's super important, you guys. We have to have our legal and ethical considerations in order. And again, if you guys need access to more capital, if you just need that hands-on approach, need another mentor, you need another accountability partner, make sure you guys DM funding, whether you're on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, whatever it is that you're on. Make sure you guys DM funding, so I can send you guys out that link. Like Paul said, it's just a quick questionnaire for you guys to fill out, so we can move you forward. It's a super easy process. And hey, we just want to see you guys win. So again, make sure you guys, can stay tuned, and make sure you guys take advantage of these resources, guys. So until next time, I'll see you guys again, man. Again, peace and blessings to all our mod family out there. And I'll talk to you next time. Let's go.